The 1947 Roswell incident introduced the concept of UFOs to the world. Since then, whenever strange objects appear from the sky, people have continuously discussed them. Among thousands of UFO encounters in history, there have been times when we were very close to them. From radar detections, visual sightings, to even shooting down UFOs. However, most records lack information about one extremely important thing. That is the actual beings controlling UFOs, also known as aliens. Therefore, any information about aliens appearing immediately stirs the research community. A typical example is the presentation of two strange mummies at a Mexican congressional hearing not long ago. But usually, even when having contact with aliens, we mainly encounter them through corpses from UFO crashes or other strange discoveries. But that doesn't mean there are no exceptions. Among them, we have encountered living, unharmed space visitors, and even captured them alive. So how did that special encounter happen? What did we gain from those encounters? Take your eyes off the screen, The Varginha UFO incident capturing aliens alive. Thank you dear viewers for choosing to support Primitive Universe. Quickly hit like and subscribe to the Dark Truth Files channel to help the team gain more motivation to create quality products. Now let's get to the main content. Early in the morning of January 13, 1996, the Brazilian government received a warning from the North American Aerospace Defense Unit that their radar had detected an unidentified flying object in northeast São Paulo. Not long after, the UFO was confirmed to have crashed in the outskirts of Varginha city, in the state of Minas Gerais. And its debris was found at another unidentified flying object in northeast São Paulo. Currently, they have been detected at an unidentified flying object in northeast São Paulo, in Brazil's state of Minas Gerais. This scene was accidentally witnessed by Orlina de Freitas and Eurico de Freitas, a farmer couple who woke up early for work. That day, as usual, Orlina was preparing breakfast for the family. Suddenly, something strange happened outside. The cattle in the farm, usually docile, suddenly panicked and scattered as if encountering predators. Orlina curiously looked out the window. She couldn't believe what she saw. It was a strange object hovering in the air. Though very frightened, she remained composed enough to call her husband Eurico to see together. According to the couple's description, the strange object had a shape and size similar to a school bus. It hovered in the air, moving slowly. Strangely, despite its large size, it moved completely silently, without any noise. It seemed to be malfunctioning, continuously emitting white smoke around it. A few minutes after being seen, a UFO quietly landed at the foot of a distant mountain. The Freitas couple were not the only witnesses to see the unidentified flying object. On the other side of the mountain, a university professor named Carlos de Souza also witnessed the incident quite clearly. While driving on a nearby road, Carlos suddenly noticed about 300 to 400 meters above the ground, there was a huge object flying towards the road. The tail section of the object was damaged, emitting thick white smoke and slowly descending. However, when only 100 meters from the ground, the object began to ascend again. Reaching a certain altitude, seemingly unable to maintain further, the object fell freely to the ground. At that time, Carlos had no concept of UFOs at all. He thought it was some kind of airplane accident. Carlos thought about rushing to rescue people, so he drove to where the flying object had fallen. However, the scene at the site left him horrified. The area was full of debris from the flying object. When he got out of the car, Carlos smelled an extremely strong odor of ammonia, as if many rotten eggs had broken. He had to cover his nose with his clothes, but his eyes were still filled with tears from the smoke. As he approached the object and looked more closely, he noticed the structure of the debris resembled aluminum foil. In Carlos's words, it was like the foil wrapped around a roasted chicken. Carlos ate a small piece. It was extremely light and thin. He easily crumpled it into a ball with his hand. But when he let go, the piece immediately returned to its original shape. Just as Carlos was confused about what to do next, some Brazilian military trucks arrived. They immediately threatened and chased Carlos away. In 1996, Carlos gave a brief interview to the media and described the situation at that time. However, shortly after that interview, he disappeared from public view for 26 years. Why was that? If this UFO incident had ended like that, it would have vanished into history as if it never happened. Because it was simply a few vague accounts with unclear witnesses. But fortunately, things weren't that simple. 7 days later, on January 20, 1996, 3 girls, 22-year-old Kedia Xavier, 16-year-old Lilian Shiva, living near the Macau gym in São José de Vizina, and 14-year-old Vakiria Shiva, experienced something the girls would never forget for the rest of their lives. Earlier, Lilian was walking ahead, followed by the other 2 girls. As they passed by a wall, Lilian suddenly saw a frightening creature crouching by the wall. She was terrified and screamed. Kedia and Vakiria quickly ran over and also saw the creature. They described the creature as having an entirely brown, smooth, and greasy body, with very large red eyes. A hairless head but with 3 bumps on the skin, seemingly no mouth, and no expression on its face. The creature's arms were very thin, pressed tightly between his legs. The girls could feel that the creature was as scared of them as they were of it. Finally, the girls ran home and told Luzia Shiva, the mother of Lilian and Vakiria, what they had seen. All 3 girls believed they had encountered something demonic and were haunted for a long time. When Luzia persuaded her 3 daughters to take her back to the wall again, the strange creature had disappeared. But Luzia still believed her children. Why did she believe this story? It was because she saw the creature's footprints on the ground. They had only 3 toes. And like Carlos, the 4 of them smelled a very unpleasant odor. The girls said it was the smell of rotten eggs, while Luzia described it as worse and more pungent than sulfur. She could still smell it for the next 20 days. She even had to use alcohol to mask the sensation of that terrible smell. After the girls reported their discovery, military trucks appeared again. Residents of Virginia said it was the first time they had seen soldiers so heavily armed with ammunition. However, they were ready to fight in the city. Soldiers blocked the streets, pointing guns at anyone trying to cross the barricaded area. After the military blocked the streets, they began searching. Officer Marco Cires and his companion Eric Lopez were ordered to patrol the area where the girls had witnessed the strange creature. While they were on duty, the creature suddenly ran in front of their car and crossed the road. Marco immediately got out of the car, rushed over, grabbed the creature with his bare hands, and took it to the hospital. During the process, the creature scratched Marco, and its strange fluid got on him. Marco initially didn't pay much attention to it, but soon after, he felt a bit unwell. Over the next 2 weeks, Marco's body gradually worsened. His whole body also emitted a foul odor like rotten eggs. Finally, he had to go to the hospital for treatment. Cesario Lincoln Furtado, the doctor treating Marco, stated that the entire medical team conducted all possible tests. But they absolutely could not find the cause of the illness, let alone propose an effective treatment plan. The only thing the doctors were certain of was that Marco's immune system had completely stopped functioning. On February 10, 1996, Marco, just 23 years old, was taken to the ICU for emergency care and was declared dead 5 hours later. Normally, because the cause of Marco's illness was not clearly identified and his death was too strange, the hospital considered performing an autopsy for further research. However, Marco's sister Matata Varese reported another extremely strange action. After the ICU doctor declared Marco dead, he requested that he be placed in a coffin and buried as soon as possible. Although the hospital's report indicated that Marco died from sepsis and then lung infection, many still suspect that Marco may have been infected with an alien virus of unknown origin. It sounds crazy, but clearly Marco had contact with the alien creature without any protective gear. Could this be true? Moreover, that day, it wasn't just Marco alone, his partner was also there. So what happened to Eric Peros? For many years, many tried to contact Eric to find out what happened that night, but without success. Until the documentary film crew, through various channels, found information about Eric. But he not only said he would drive them away with bullets but also repeatedly warned that they would face trouble if they didn't stop. Although no concrete information came from Eric, his reaction seemed to imply that this matter was not simple and should be buried forever. Let's go back to January 20th, 1996, the day Marco caught the alien creature. Through many declassified documents, it is known that in fact, a total of 2 alien creatures were captured. One was caught by Marco on the spot as mentioned. The other was captured by the local fire department in Varginha on the morning before the girls witnessed the alien creature. That day, the fire department received many calls from residents reporting that they saw scary animals somewhere and requested the fire department to capture them. When the fire department set out, they thought it was a wild, fierce beast. But when they arrived at the reported location, they saw a creature with brown skin, as if it had just crawled out of a trash can. It had large, scary red eyes. After much pursuit, the fire department finally caught the strange creature. According to witnesses present, the fire department said they had captured a creature with a cry resembling a child's weeping. In the area where the girls discovered the alien creature and Marco caught it, a family shared their strange experience with the documentary film crew. Just one night after the alien creature was captured, when the family went out to pick up their ordered food, they saw a strange object appear in the sky. That object was very large, silver in color but emitted a very red light. It resembled a fast spinning disc, hovering in the sky for about 15 minutes, as if searching for something. And perhaps many have somewhat guessed that the alien creature captured by humans earlier might be the alien pilot from the crashed cigar-shaped UFO. This disc-shaped UFO was likely from the same team as the crashed cigar-shaped UFO, coming to search for the missing pilot. It seems it arrived one step late, and humans had already captured it. So what happened to the 2 mysterious captured alien creatures? What testimonies did the military personnel who entered the hospital provide? What strange discoveries did UFO investigators make? Documentary producer James Fox also revealed an important detail he did not include in the documentary. We will continue to unravel these extremely mysterious questions in the next part. To summarize a bit, we have here a UFO crash and the capture of 2 alien creatures of unknown origin. One creature was captured by the fire department on January 20th, and the other was caught by Officer Marco that same night. For easy distinction, we will refer to them as creature number 1 and creature number 2. Both creatures were sent to 2 different hospitals. Creature number 1 was sent to Humanitas Hospital, and creature number 2 was sent to the local hospital in Varginha. First, let's talk about creature number 2, which Marco caught. According to those involved, after being captured, creature number 2 was dying and did not survive the next day. So what really happened after it was taken to the hospital in Varginha? 26 years later, the very X-ray doctor from that time shared some very notable insights. However, he requested that his appearance not be revealed, and even his voice had to be altered to ensure his safety. Because the doctor stated that at that time, there were 8 to 10 soldiers guarding the hospitals, and no one was allowed in or out. 2 other individuals and 2 officers entered the hospital, taking out a black bag from their throats. One officer asked the doctor to help with an x-ray but warned him not to open the bag to look inside. After the doctor carefully performed the imaging as requested, the military side did not allow him to see. Thank you very much, your work is completed. We advise you not to disclose any information about what you have seen and done. This concerns your safety. The doctor also mentioned that the creature in the black bag emitted a very strong odor, like a mixture of ammonia and something else, completely consistent with previous witness testimonies. Even after the military left with the bag, the foul smell did not disappear but lingered at the hospital. They had to handle it for a long time before reopening to serve people. The doctor also particularly emphasized that the smell was extremely unpleasant, as he still smelled it in his nose and respiratory system for about 3 to 4 days after. And surely you still remember Luisa Silva, whom we mentioned in the previous part. She once said she could smell the foul odor for many days and had to use coconut charcoal for her nose. She and this doctor, who were not acquainted at all, had a relatively consistent description. Setting aside the story of creature number 2, this time we will see what happened to creature number 1. Surprisingly, everything seemed even stranger. Creature number 1 was still alive but brought to the hospital, but in a very weak condition. The military unit requested the doctor to quickly perform the Brazil UFO crash, the Varginha incident. A soldier guarding the hospital area called the editor-in-chief of UFO magazine, Mr. Ajay Javad, to tell about his strange experience. That soldier said he couldn't believe his eyes because what was on the stretcher was a real alien creature. While the doctor was operating on the alien creature, he had to guard the operating room strictly. At that time, he didn't know if the alien creature was alive or dead, nor did he know if the doctors were performing an autopsy or conducting treatment. He only saw the doctors being busy, and the expressions on their faces were like his, full of tension and panic. That soldier described this alien creature as about 1 meter tall with shiny brown skin. Moreover, what was even more frightening was that it had large eyes and a pair of hands that seemed thin and sharp. This alien creature emitted a very unpleasant smell, and the military was even worried that people would get sick because of this terrible smell. After the successful surgery, he and his comrades were kicked out, and finally the doctor declared that the alien creature had died. Moment of contact. His mission at that time was to dispatch some military trucks from the military base in Tres Coricos and transport them to the city of Varginha. First, he followed the intelligence officers to the local Varginha hospital, and then to the Humanitas hospital. At this hospital, he saw an astonishing scene. In one of the hospital rooms, a stainless steel box was placed on a table. There was a creature in the box that was definitely not human, with dark brown oily skin. The upper part of this creature was covered, but just by looking at its legs and feet, you could tell it wasn't human. Its toes looked like a V-shape. From a certain perspective, this matches Luisa Silva's description when she confirmed seeing the footprints of creature number 2 on the ground. After they brought the stainless steel box back to the military base, Military X was called to the office. An officer from the team stared into his eyes and asked him what he saw. And of course, to avoid lying, he said he saw a burned man. Then the officer continued to tell Military X that this secret must not be disclosed, or even mentioned in the slightest. But things couldn't stop here. When creature number 1 was being treated at the hospital, the documentary producer stated in an interview that the creature had used telepathic communication with 2 medical staff and had exchanges with them. The reason they didn't include this part in their documentary was that they needed video testimony from the medical staff, but that seemed not easy at all. The UFO crash in Brazil. the real UFO crash and the surviving aliens. In Chapter 6 of the book, a medical staff with the initials M told Dr. Laird that the uniformed blue mist appeared in the operating room during the surgery. They didn't know the origin of this mist. Everyone was worried it might be toxic. The nurse in the operating room started banging on the door frantically. But the military outside demanded the medical staff find the source. Then everyone realized that the mist was emanating from the alien creature lying on the operating table. M slowly approached creature number 1 in extreme fear. S eyes met the creature. Looking like two swirling liquid spheres, immediately pulling M into a hypnotic state. A series of confusing information poured into M's head, causing extreme pain. He felt dizzy and nauseous, and this headache lasted for more than 2 weeks. So what did creature number 1 say through the recent communication? M revealed that it meant their species felt sorry for humans. Why is that? The reason given is that all humans have the potential and ability to do things that the alien species can do. The things we humans find extraordinary but don't know how to accomplish. On the other hand, we haven't fully tapped into our limitless potential. Despite receiving vast amounts of information, M firmly refused to disclose further details. He also told Dr. Lee that the alien had died within 24 hours of arriving at Humanity's hospital. But he believed that death was a choice made by the alien itself, and not related to humans. That's perhaps not hard to notice that medical staff M. The issue is where the alien's body was taken after death. Based on Military X's account and all the information he knew, they went to the Military Officer Training School, abbreviated as SPCSX in Campinas. Strangely, why would such an important secret be moved from a tightly secured military base to a lower security military school? Military X said, "There are rumors in the military that the Brazilian military handed over UFO fragments and 2 alien bodies to the Central Intelligence Agency. The moment of contact." The film crew interviewed an air traffic controller named Jose Manuel Fernandez. He recounted that a U.S. Air Force transport plane, without Brazilian government permission, landed in Campinas. Afterward, 2 helicopters flew to Varginha, Alagoas, and returned to Campinas. According to Jose, the U.S. led the operation, while Brazil only provided support and conducted some ground activities. We have every reason to compare this event to the 1947 Roswell incident. First, the shock and impact level of the Brazil incident, along with the number of witnesses and testimonies, is no less significant. Along with that, our efforts to gather intelligence sources and the testimonies are equally substantial. S efforts to cover up the truth are no less than the U.S. government. Procedurally, the military only held a perfunctory press conference, with the core content being that nothing serious happened, everything was planned. Later, under media and public pressure, the military finally issued a final investigation report. It stated that the alien discovered by the 3 girls was actually a mentally troubled man named Marino. Due to rain, Marino was covered in mud and sitting in a corner, leading the girls to mistake him for an alien. The 2 aliens taken to the hospital were actually a dwarf couple, and the hospital only installed pulse detection equipment for them. Do you believe it? Would such a procedure require closing the hospital? Moreover, the military also concluded on the death of military police Marco, saying he didn't participate in patrol that day and died from an infected cyst on his arm. But didn't explain the large number of soldiers people saw on the streets. Later, they added that it was just a training exercise at a nearby military school. Such a military report clearly didn't convince those who witnessed the event firsthand. The three girls immediately denied the explanation that the alien was just a homeless person. They said they couldn't mistake a muddy homeless person for such a frightening creature. Along with the girls, civilian UFO investigator Vittorio Paccazzini and many experts from various fields conducted a detailed investigation into the issue and refuted the military's conclusions from multiple angles. Let's see what they discovered. After learning about the girls' contact event, renowned American psychologist John Emart went to Brazil in November 1996. He met 16-year-old Lilian, two of the three girls being Lilian Silva and 14-year-old Viculia Silva. In a few hours of conversation, Lilian and Viculia described the entire process to Mark, including detailed drawings of the alien they saw. Mark ultimately concluded that he believed the three girls were not lying. So, is John Emart's word trustworthy? Mark was the head of the psychiatry department at Harvard Medical School and had won a Pulitzer Prize, the most prestigious award in journalism, when he first began researching UFO witnesses. He thought these people might have mental or psychological issues. However, after encountering hundreds of witnesses, Mark found they were all normal and had no problems. In other words, what these witnesses reported might be the truth. After that, Mark devoted much effort to researching UFOs. Previously, we had a program introducing collective UFO sighting cases in Zimbabwe, Africa. Mark also played a quite important role. So, what reason would such a person have to lie? He already had everything, from money to fame. Would he really want to attract public attention by lying? In reality, in 1996, people didn't easily accept things like UFOs or aliens. They also had natural trust in the government and military. Therefore, many who hadn't directly experienced this tended to doubt witnesses were lying or making up stories. Not only that, the community attacked and ridiculed them. But why would the witnesses lie? Some believe they did it to become famous or gain benefits. But reality shows the complete opposite. Among the three girls, 22-year-old Katia Xavier was pregnant when she discovered the alien. As a result, rumors spread that she was pregnant with an alien child. She was ridiculed, leading to her separation from her husband and severe depression. Bear her friends. And Vicuria, 14 years old, also suffered from social withdrawal for a while. Patrol companion, still doesn't. She also doesn't dare to say a single word. Carlos de Sousa, a university professor who first discovered the UFO craft. From a respected professor, he also became an object of ridicule. Additionally, he developed psychological issues after receiving threats from officials. Many others were the same, too numerous to list. They truly wished they hadn't been present there that day. They had absolutely no choice. They were forced to witness things they never wanted to see. Now, regarding whether aliens existed in that year of 1996, perhaps everyone has already formed their own answer. With all the evidence, testimonies, and documents presented, I believe it's enough for everyone to contemplate the truth themselves. It's not hard to see that aliens have gradually become accepted by us. People have sufficient information sources to reference, evaluate, and think about a strange phenomenon before. In the future, it's very likely that many similar incidents like Varginha or Roswell will be further revealed. This event continues to be researched by many passionate scholars to this day. You can easily search for information about it on the internet. This is an extremely complex event with many noteworthy details, so it certainly won't disappoint you. For now, due to limited time, today's video will end here. Sincerely thank you for your attention and support. Time is limited. I'll say goodbye and look forward to seeing everyone in future videos. Wishing everyone a peaceful day with your family. Please subscribe to the Dark Truth Files channel to watch the latest videos.